Radical left-wing billionaire George Soros is behind efforts to secure victory for Democrats in Florida with the help of convicted criminals. One America's Pearson has more.
In an attempt to take over a critical swing state, radical left-wing billionaire George Soros is funding efforts to restore voting rights to over 1 million ex-felons in Florida. Experts predict Florida will play a key role in next year's presidential election, and Democrats aren't taking any chances at letting the state vote Republican. Last year's Florida Amendment 4 gave felons the right to vote, and Soros-funded organizations are now battling a separate bill which would force them to pay fees before they can register. Amendment 4 was largely backed and drafted by groups like the ACLU and the Brennan Center for Justice, both heavily financed by George Soros, with the ACLU receiving as much as $50 million. A man named Desmond Meade is spearheading the campaign and fighting against measures to block felons from voting until they pay their court fees. Meade is the president of the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition and compared giving convicted criminals the right to vote to the battle against slavery. Digging deeper into Meade's background, it becomes clear George Soros is firmly behind his campaign. Meade's coalition is backed by Soros-funded organizations left and right, including the ACLU, NAACP, the PICO National Network, and the League of Women Voters, to name a few. All of this is just part of the growing effort by Democrats to improve voter turnout in Florida and try to defeat President Trump in 2020. And it's not the first time Democrats have turned to Soros for help when they needed more voters. In 2017, Democrats rallied against Republican Roy Moore and tried to register thousands of convicted felons to help Doug Jones win the special election in Alabama. To get those felons registered, Democrats relied on help from Al Sharpton's half-brother, Pastor Kenneth Glasgow, and the Soros-backed ACLU. Glasgow flat out admitted that his only goal in registering the felons was to ensure a victory for Democrats. And it's worth mentioning Glasgow was arrested a few months later on capital murder charges, was released on bond, and then arrested again a few months after that for possession of stolen property. Now, despite opposition from Florida residents, this latest measure could mean serious trouble for the state's outnumbered Republicans. There are currently 4.7 million registered Republicans in Florida and nearly 5 million registered Democrats. And thanks to this new amendment, some 1.4 million felons are now voting as well. Research shows convicts overwhelmingly vote Democrat. 73%, in fact. Apply that math to Florida, and Democrats just gained over 1 million more voters. It's no wonder, then, why radical leftists like Soros are fighting so hard to register millions of felons in Florida and all across the country. Pearson Sharp, One America News.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.